All right, we have literally 4 rooms that we are able to add because the resort has some availability that we can play with. We sold out our room blocks, so please reach out to us via email. It'll be in our post here in the notes for you to just click on and reach out, and we'll get you reserved because...
Well, info at vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com is how you can contact us to find out more about Cianalani and the amazing eco resort that we'll be hosting a group with on September 11th through 15th. Come down and join us to rest, reset, and reconnect.
Rooted in resilience, inspired by nature, powered by movement. The podcasts where healing meets empowerment. Let's rise and thrive together. And now, here are your hosts, Scott and Melissa.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rise and Thrive, a podcast by Vital Edge Wellness Coaching. I'm here with my co-host, Melissa, and we're going to talk about worry and stress. This is part 2. We feel like it's a massive topic that we get a lot of coaching clients engaging with us around how to reduce their stress and worry. And so we want to continue the conversation today, only after we have a mindful moment by Melissa. So let's take 1 minute and tap in.
Welcome. So whether you are driving, exercising, walking, sitting, hanging out, watching, or just listening, you have options. So as comfortable as you can be, let's take a nice big sigh. Just let it out. If you're in an environment that is conducive to do so, you can close your eyes or keep them open to a soft gaze. And relax the jaw and the tongue. Let that lead to the shoulders dropping down and back. And notice when you did that, there was a little lift to your heart. And let's continue for this minute, just bringing that awareness. Let the exhale take you all the way down to the pelvic bowl. Maybe you're sitting and can feel your seat. The felt sense of your breath as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And feel that next exhale once again bring you all the way down to your seat. If you're standing, all the way down to your feet. And then you're welcome to open your eyes.
Very nice indeed. Thank you.
And you're welcome. So in that brief moment, you just support yourself to ground, to come into the present moment. So try that anywhere, anytime. So we had to do part 2, and I'm sure the part 3, part 4, part 5. Here we go. Stress and worry. And so I wanted to start. Scott mentioned one of the questions I loved he asked was, where does it come from? And one of the aspects we talked about was learned behavior, right? We, like myself, dear father that loved to worry. That was his way of showing love and concern. And that's where he learned. He learned from growing up that way. The other aspect that I wanted to bring to mind and have us as we deepen that awareness of worry and stress for ourselves, of where that's coming from and how we can support ourselves to manage and cope in these current environments, internally and externally, is that it's also wired in us, which I know it's kind of hard to hear, that we're wired to worry and stress. I want to reframe it to know that it's our survival as humans. We have parts of our brain that are on guard and watching to protect us. And we've learned these behaviors and we've applied these behaviors in different times in our life that have helped us to feel safe. And as we grow and continue on our paths, we start to find out, and if we become more aware, that some of these patterns and habits that we have when we worry or stress about things no longer serve us. And so what we want to dive in today with is that continued conversation, knowing that this is some neural wiring that we can help as we get to know our brain and our system and our body, that to not take it personal. Like when we worry or stress about something, to be like, okay, I'm noticing this. And to realize that something inside your nervous system is registering not safe, fear. You need to be concerned about this. And so it's really your body's way of looking out for you. And that's where you can come in to have that connection to be like, no, you're safe. We can offer these other options to have a different perception. We talked about last time about we all look through a different lens. We've all had past various experiences. The brain is trying to check through that lens. And we have ways that we can support the body to heal and to look through a new lens, a clear lens, and come back to that present moment. And to, just like we did with the breath, to ground. So I want to weave that into our conversation and talk about a couple experiences that I've noticed recently with a couple clients to just show that it's doable, and it's a journey. It isn't like I'm doing this and I'm solved and I won't worry anymore. It is learning your patterns, your behaviors, and learning how you can support yourself to thrive even amongst some of those patterns of worry and stress. Anything to add to that before?
Yeah, I think just to recap our first episode on this, we talked about practices and nature. We talked about those important tools of body movement, being in the power of now. And I think, after we signed off, I was thinking that this may sound too simple, and it's not meant to, what am I trying to say? It is simple, but it's not easy. And your situation is different than my situation or anyone else's situation. However, these tools work for any situation. And I want you to know that I don't want you to say, but you don't understand what's going on, because worry is worry no matter what the situation. You have to choose whether it's worth your time to worry or whether you're ready to be done with the worry. And that's different for all of us. And that requires you pivoting away or even toward more worry if that's appropriate. That's a whole other thing, because we all have different circumstances going on. And so these tools are meant to kind of give you a pathway, not to solve the worry. Mm-hmm. It's meant to alleviate the worry. You just said it a minute ago. We are built to worry about things. When it becomes chronic, it could be a bigger issue. You may need some therapy, which is super helpful, or you may just need some tools. And so we don't want it to sound like it's a one size fits all proposition, but we do know that the tools we talk about and the process as our brains all operate the same way. We used to be worried about being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, and most of us in the world today don't have that concern anymore. But there's other saber-toothed tiger things: finances, mm-hmm. health, relationships, work. These are all our new saber-toothed tigers, and it's coming at us all the time. Well, back in the prehistoric days, you only had a few things to worry about.
Yeah,
right?
To recover.
Yeah. So it's multiplied, and we've made even advertisements can
try to poke the tiger.
Yeah, well, they can poke the tiger. Right. They can make you feel like I'm not mm-hmm. good enough, mm-hmm. I need that, better, or I got to buy this, so there's worry in all different ways. But the tools we talk about and the awareness we talk about is a direction toward alleviating that worry, mm-hmm. no matter what it is.
Well, I'd love to share to connect with the tools like we talked about last time. I had an individual that we talked about in our first episode about the frequency change. If we go into I like to go into the scientific, if you look at worry and fear and stress, it has a frequency, those different thoughts and emotions. Just as joy, happiness, and those things have a different frequency. And we can help support our bodies when we have gone into a state of the fight or flight, the part of the brain that is trying to protect you and look out, and it's making the nervous system, it's saying, okay, you got to be fearful of this. And when you can come in with the frontal cortex, neocortex, to say, we're safe. These are the tools we're talking when he says nature, and it isn't just go out and feel good in nature. It's literally helping you feel safe. And the brain is then you're able to bring different parts of your brain on to take a different look. So example being, when we're saying nature, grounding, some other tools, one that I wanted to bring up was individual went into having a moment of the brain was perceiving what was going on as anxiety, stress. I need to be fearful. I need to start like stopping this person from moving. And we breathe. We did exactly what we did together today, breathing into the pelvis, into the feet, helping to come a little bit out of that fight or flight. And then particularly for this individual, what I love is that one of the tools we found for them that is changes that frequency in that moment is music. And the music, when the beat, the vibration, we know music, it's beat, vibration, frequency, right? Sometimes we hear different, like if you look on some of the apps with the different megahertz and things like that to listen to binaural beats and different things like that, helping to balance the brain. So with this individual, we know that music helps her to come out of that fight or flight. Because if she's over here and the anxiety comes, that frequency pulls the next negative, and we head in, we hang out there. If we can, in that moment, it's not pushing it away, it's not ignoring it, but playing the music helps her come back into that wise mind, that frequency, that shift of frequency of vibration, watched her whole body and physical demeanor and emotions just dissipate. So that's an example of the grounding that can happen through nature, through music, and coming back to that frequency change through thought. So that was one example. I have another one to say soon, but anything you want to add to that?
Well, I love the music aspect. I also use music a lot in a lot of different ways. It is a comfort for me. I've done plenty of shamanic experiences with drummers where you ride the drum beats and you journey. They call it journeying, and you have transformative experiences from that process. It's an ancestral way of managing stress and worry and getting answers to problems that cause the worry. So you get to go to the root cause. And there are a lot of different frequencies of music that you can use to get different results that will heal you. And we know a few sound therapists who do
Yes,
this
we
in
do.
person, and you'll be hearing from them at our retreats from time to time. But we have some amazing sound therapists in our group that do this work individually and as a group. And so I love that. And it didn't come up on our first episode, but I'm just listening to you, realizing how often I use music.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. Yeah.
Sometimes I do my own drumming in my meditation process because it's comforting and it mirrors my heartbeat and it slows me down to be in that thinking brain and get out of that emotional response brain long enough to make better decisions outside of worry.
Which in turn is that if you've had a neurobiology, the neural rewiring that can happen. So you're offering another pathway when some of that worry. And we were talking just before the episode that many of us find comfort in the worry because we feel like we're doing something. When we feel stuck, we feel lost. And it's just like, even though it's suffering, it's familiar. And the body will seek that familiarity because it feels safe. And that's where the support of what we're talking about helps you to come into that wise mind to soothe the other parts of the brain and say, hey, this pattern doesn't have to be. This no longer serves you. And turning on that music, putting your feet in the grass, doing a breath practice, whatever it may be, is giving the body an experience of feeling safe, doing it in a nourishing way versus feeling safe to worry more. So we have to provide ourselves. That's why these are tools. It isn't just touchy-feely. These are actual tools that are helping you get to know this body and take care of it when those waves come. So the other example I wanted to share was just an appointment I had earlier today with a dear being, fully embracing and has these tools in place, has a situation going on. And our discussion today was so weird that during this stressful moment or these times that I have right now, some of my tools slid off the radar. And it's just weird to me. Why is that? And so first and foremost, we showed up with compassion and not a disassociation, not a detachment like that doesn't exist. It's honoring that your body, your system knows how to keep you safe in that time. And when a stressful moment happens, you go in another part of your brain that doesn't house those tools. So you forget. I forgot to do my breath work. I forgot to do my walking meditation, whatever it is. And so honoring that there was a stressful moment there, but the idea of having awareness about it, you're able to then reflect and say, oh, okay, body. Yeah, we had a stressful moment there. You grabbed onto some of those stress and worry patterns that we're working on supporting you to realize you're safe. So I'm going to bring that compassion to that awareness that I kind of slid off on those things. And now I'm going to have the compassion for myself to say, okay, next time, because we know another wave, we're handling life. That's another saber-toothed tiger around the corner. And we'll have more access to those tools. The deeper neural wiring that happens, the more the practice, the consistency, the showing up for yourself in this way, it becomes more accessible. So it was wonderful to have him have that reflection today and be able to be like, yeah, and he actually celebrated. He celebrated having this situation because he was feeling pretty good for a while. He's like, everything's going good. I got stuff going. He says, I kind of was mentioning to a friend of his that he kind of needed something to happen so he could practice whether
That's one way to do it.
and so I said, well, there you go. There was your gift. And that's what we have the opportunity to do, is to turn around and look at these worries and stressors that come as, God forbid, opportunities, a gift. In hindsight, after you've been through something stressful, you're like, oh, I can see the silver lining. I can see the benefit of that. Now we can start to play with, can I see the benefit as I'm going through it?
Yeah, and I would say that some people can't see the silver lining. They're stuck in that repetitive, I knew that was going to happen. I know it'll happen again, which is different than seeing the silver lining.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to note that we have both been practicing these tools for a very long time. So for those of you who don't know us, it's important to say that. I know that myself, it's been, it's a lot of math. I'm so old now. Since my mid-20s, I've been practicing these releasing skills, staying out of worry skills, very interested in it for myself and for others. And then I've been coaching people in it for the last 25 years and see the results through them, which helps me further my own practice. And these aren't just things or theories that we're talking about. These are actual tools that work. And I think one other thing we need to talk about is that worry leads to complaining, and complaining creates more worry.
The frequency of that.
I think last week I told you that I gotta stop complaining. I find myself complaining more. And part of that for me, this is my story, is what I see in the news and social media and in the upheaval in the world in general, the inhumanities, politics, the way we see and treat each other leads me to complaining. And complaining then leads to worry. What is it going to look like? What does our economic future look like? What does our health situation look like? And those kind of umbrella big worries start to feed the behavior of worry that is embedded in us, whether we learned it from generations or it's a learned behavior now. So we have to be careful about these macro worries that lead to complaining that leads to worries. And it was kind of an epiphany for me that politics, religion, that group think mentality, that if you don't think like us, you're not one of us. And we have a lot of that happening out there right now. So one suggestion I have, just from the social media perspective, and Melissa and I do a really good job of this on our own social media platforms, is recreate your algorithms. Start disconnecting from things. Stop commenting on things that produce more worry and more anxiety, and only use social media for things that bring you joy and uplift you. And you will see a huge difference. I do too much scrolling as it is, and I'm not as bad a scroller as many. But at least when I'm scrolling, I'm getting more of the same of what I post, which is generally uplifting, positive. And if it isn't, I remove it. And I think that is something we have to look at that we didn't have to deal with 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was very perplexed when people would say, what's on their feeds and all they're hearing. And we know it's like we think we're staying informed, but are you really? When it's that kind of feed. right? So finding your reliable source to stay up to date. And then, that's why I was in awe of like, I don't have anything on that. I didn't realize the algorithms back in the day. I was like, I just have stuff about nutrition, about health, and about yoga. And I was like, that's what I travel. That's all I see. So realize you have some influence there, and what you see and what's around you also can, coming back to the wiring behind, right? Always your body's protecting you. If it's seeing all of that stuff, it's going to stay. And many of us have stuff we don't even know that's staying on in the background. It's keeping your body and your nervous system slightly prepared all the time for fight or flight. And we know that directly, I'm sharing with you, is think about various body aches and pains you may have. That can be a manifestation of some of that angst, that nervous system protection that's going on, and how it manifests in certain muscle groups being activated and other muscle groups deactivated. See, we always want to go to like, oh, I got something wrong with my knee or something wrong with my hip.
Mechanical.
Right? Yeah. We go mechanical, which yes, at the same time, it could be, and many times is, some background stuff that has shifted the energies in the body when the nervous system is like stressed. So all of this leads us to you and us continuing to live and thrive and support our bodies in a way that we can with what we can control. And so we want to support you to continue to think about, from what we've talked about today, in the first episode, I asked you, we asked you to be aware. What do you do right now when you get worried and stressed? Can you start to recognize a pattern for yourself or when that shows up? And what you do when that does. Then once we have that awareness, we can decide, hey, I've got some of these tools to try to help my body regain trust and safety in this moment.
Yeah, and we're here to support you in that in any way we can. As coaches, coming to one of our retreats, Melissa has a couple of self-care Saturdays coming up through her company, Optimal Living. We do have our retreat in September, the 11th through the 15th, 2025.
Vital Edge.
That's through Vital Edge. Still some space available there based on resort availability. So reach out to us if you're interested in that. Sometimes you need a kickstart. I use a lot of tools and I use a lot of resources. I go to see a local doctor here who practices the Motor Health System. So he does body talk, muscle testing to figure out what internally is causing problems in my body. And I've been going to him for years, and he's the most amazing guy. And so that's one practice. I see someone on a frequent basis, a few times a year, to have all of my energy centers cleansed and make sure my chakras are on alignment. And I've taken non-believers to these sessions, and they've come out of there
being like
amazingly light and feeling re-energized. So there are outside folks who can help you alleviate your pressure, and you kind of jumpstart your toolkit for reducing worry and leaning into how you want to be. Because we're a Rise and Thrive podcast. That's the name. We want you to rise. Great. Well, we want you to thrive. We want all of us, the human condition is to ever be seeking higher levels of happiness, joy, and fulfillment. And life is too short to spend it in worry and complaining. Mm-hmm. And so just start, just begin, just lean into a couple of tools, find a meditation class, click the link on our website to contact one of us to have further conversations, no matter how deep. Yeah, start coming to yoga classes, whatever you need to do, just begin. And I don't think there's anything greater than breaking the cycle of worry and finding more light and lightness in your life and doing the things you love to do, because worry isn't your anchor any longer. And
it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. You can learn to live with it and grow with it and, pretty much eliminate it because I still have worries, but it is not what it used to be in my
you're able
days.
To catch it. I want to say, when Scott was mentioning the joy and the happiness, it's not outside you. Remember that. When you go inward and you help to remove some of those patterns, dissolve some of those patterns, address some of those patterns, joy and happiness is always there waiting for you. So it isn't, when we talk about these things out here or seeing those other supports, I want to add sound bowl. Having a sound bowl session is amazing, by the way. all of these good things that you think might be, oh, feel good. Like back in the day, we used to think a massage here and there was nice. It was like extra. Now I want everybody to realize that's part of your responsibility to care for this body.
Twice a month for me.
That's
I don't know how
yeah.
people not do it.
Yeah, acupuncture, all those things that we used to think, they're becoming more and more recognized. You're seeing that with kind of insurance is helping a little bit.
Don't get us started.
I don't, but that's another topic. Anyways, just wanting to remind you that nothing's wrong with you. You're not going out to find somebody to make you happy or something to make you happy or joyous. It's in there. We're peeling the layers to lessen the patterns that keep you in the suffering. Right.
That's why we're proponents of coaching. I have 3 coaches. It tells you my situation, right? I really believe in coaching, and having a neutral outside party help you extract that information from you is really critical. I think that we sometimes can't. Let me rephrase that. I know we can't always get to our own answers. We think we can. We mentally think we can. But until someone is there to reflect back to you what you're saying or what your goals are or what you really are trying to accomplish, the breakthroughs take way too long for me. And so find yourself a good coach. You can always talk to us, as we said earlier, but that is a critical component for overcoming worry, fear, and stress, is to talk it out and decide what you want and what you don't want. And with this outside neutral trained partner, create the plan that leads you to a more fulfilling and brilliant life for yourself.
Well, and I want to just explain right there. Coaching is not us telling you what to do. Coaching is, what Scott said, is extracting from what's already there. And I want to connect that with the joy and happiness that's already there.
That would be tedious, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't
if
it
we
be?
we just tell people what to do all day. No.
That's when I put my other hats on. But when I put my coaching hat on and realize that's what, we're getting on the topic of coaching, but I want people to know, we'll do an episode on that, I'm sure, of like what coaching is, because
and what it isn't.
What it isn't. So realize it's already in you. It's often just covered up by the stress and worry. And we get to help you uncover that. So please keep listening. Please keep following us and share these episodes with others to listen to. And check out our retreats. What else?
I think that's enough for today.
Yeah, that was a lot. So
I don't want people to be worried about being worried.
Yeah, don't worry.
Be happy.
I'm going to go put my feet in the grass for a little bit and drink some water.
Yeah, we forgot our water today.
We did. That's why I was thinking water.
When it's not around, I'm suddenly feeling dehydrated.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. And as Melissa said, please share this episode with your friends and click the like button if you haven't subscribed. And let us know if you have any comments or questions about this episode or more. And take good care of each other. And don't forget to take care of yourself as well. We'll see you next time.
Namaste.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Rise and Thrive. If you're ready for a deeper reset, join us for our upcoming wellness retreat in Mexico, September 11th to 15th. It's the perfect opportunity to recharge through movement, mindfulness, and connection. Visit VitalEdgeWellnessCoaching.com to learn more. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little more rise and thrive in their life. Follow us on your favorite platform to stay inspired. And until next time, keep rising and keep thriving.